Hello, and you're listening to another Tinkle Hoy review. I'm your host, Juan, joined with...
Your other host, Quentin Osterhout.
And we're going to talk about Godzilla today. And let me just say this, Godzilla is my childhood monster. I love Godzilla. I can watch the crappy films and enjoy them because I love the character just that much.
I'm so confused. Crappy? Where'd you get crappy from?
Oh, there are some crappy ones.
Oh, okay. Well, I am also a lover of Godzilla. And I was under the assumption there was no crappy Godzilla movies.
Oh, we gotta watch Son of Godzilla or All Out Monster Attack. That's basically just an anti-bullying video and a parent neglect movie.
Oh, that'd be good. That would be good. But, this review is of the very first and original Godzilla movie. And...
Oh, hang on before that. We're actually planning to do multiple Godzilla films over the process of these next couple weeks, all in preparation for the next one that's coming out, Godzilla vs. Kong, which I am super excited for. We're actually planning to watch the original film before we watch Kong, but before the new one comes out.
The original King Kong vs. Godzilla, Godzilla vs. King Kong. I'm kind of weirded out. Which way does it go?
I don't know.
I was gonna say Godzilla's...
Isn't the proper English, you have to have it by the alphabet?
Yes, I think. I don't know.
Isn't it like, it's like if it was like someone's name started with a B and someone started with a V, you'd say the B name first and then the V.
I think that's up for interpretation.
I don't know. I swear I learned that in school.
I feel like I've never really thought of it that way.
But what do you know about Godzilla? Just kind of the rundown.
I know he is a god and he is a Zilla. No, I'm joking. I know a good amount. I never really delved into like the background of Godzilla himself. I just, from movies that I watched as a kid, it was just like, things you pick
Monster
up.
fights.
Is a monster, fights other monsters, kills people, assumably, then powers, unkillable, all that,
Which is interesting because the Godzilla film was one of Japan's first giant monster films.
It was a big fact.
Which is so weird because when we think of Japan, when we think of giant monsters, you kind of immediately think of Japan, don't you?
Yeah.
That Japan's like, oh, they've had giant monsters for years. And just hearing that Godzilla was one of the first ones, like that Japan did,
yeah,
is just kind of like mind-boggling to me.
I feel, is it because like we dropped it and they just never kind of let go? Because when I think of those movies, I always think of it goes westerns or black and white comedies, mini stories, to westerns, into giant monsters, into superheroes, and then we get into modern day.
Well, I guess I'm more saying that I didn't think Godzilla was like one of the first giant monster films.
Of Japan.
Of Japan. I thought like that they've been existing for years before Godzilla was even created.
I get that, yeah.
But yeah, we're going to review two films. The first original Godzilla, and the sequel that I learned came out 6 months after the first film released in theaters.
6 months? Jesus.
Yeah, it was a cash grab. That was the only reason they made Godzilla Raids Again.
Yeah.
So now, the first one.
First one, oh gosh.
General thoughts?
I was gonna say, fantastic watch if you're okay with black and white.
Yeah.
Right now, as this time, we have not watched any Godzilla movies that are in color, because we haven't gotten to that era yet. But, honestly, I don't know. Black and white movies to me are always interesting, so any black and white movie is a good movie to me.
I remember you were talking about that with a black and white movie, they have to control the lighting.
Yeah, they have to control it in a very specific way to not hide things on accident. I don't know, not to show. I totally forget now. But, by the way, these reviews are pretty much... We talk about the movie as we're watching it, and we just kind of come back to it later.
Yeah.
At the time of recording. But what did you think of it, generally?
I mean, this is my second time watching it. I'm I committed the sin and I watched the American version first because it was on Netflix and I thought, oh, I'll watch the original black and white Godzilla. And I put it on and it's in English and I see this American actor in there and I'm just thinking, I thought this was all Japanese. What's this American actor doing? So, a little history to that. When Godzilla came over to the States, they censored a lot of the film and they added a American actor and another character to be in the film, and they're just kind of like watching the film with you. Like they don't actually interact really with any of the characters. They try to splice it together to make it look like they're interacting. Like the American actor might say a question and someone says like the answer to this question.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's pretty much Castle Takeshi.
Yeah, and
level snubbing.
They cut 60% of the original Godzilla film in this American rendition.
Which, like, I kind of felt like the movie dragged a little.
Well, you didn't see the American one.
I didn't see the American one. How long is the American one?
I think it's about the same length, but like I said,
Really?
they cut 60% of it out.
Yeah, they added the 60 that they cut
I was gonna say, if we're watching it, I just show you up to the point, and then the final act is just the same.
Yeah, because the character they added had nothing to do with the actual plot.
Yeah, he's just there. He says that he's friends with that one guy that said that he wanted to study Godzilla.
Yeah.
I believe it's that guy he's friends with.
Yeah.
But he never interacts with him or like has like an actual conversation.
That's just too. I don't know. I don't even want to think about what their reasoning behind it was. But the movie.
But yeah, there's not much to say about this film. If it were to come out today, it would be critically slammed as a very boring film. But for the time it came out, I'd say it was very innovative. Like the idea of this, they create this monster that came because of the bombing of all Nagasaki, and
I was gonna say they didn't create it. It was awoken.
It was awoken, yes.
Yeah, it awoke because of the bombs.
Yeah, and it just wreaks havoc on Japan.
Yeah. And
that's pretty much it, and then they try to stop it. And
I was going to say, the entirety of the movie is them trying to stop
It's
Godzilla.
them learning about Godzilla, thinking what they were going to do about Godzilla. Godzilla attacks, figuring out they might have a solution to taking out Godzilla, and then initiating it. That's
three times.
3 times?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they try.
It's like 3
quite
times.
a couple of things.
They try 2 things, and then the third thing that they try actually works.
But yeah, I'd say it was very innovative because it was like, because we were talking, because it was the idea that like, oh, Godzilla can survive a atomic bomb. How the hell are we gonna kill this thing?
Yeah. It's definitely more innovative thinking because when I think of monster movies, I just think of, old monster movies like the giant ants, the giant iguana, my favorite.
He was almost an octopus.
He was almost an octopus.
Yeah.
But when I think of those movies, they just like don't hit the thing hard enough to stop it, and that's what the whole movie is about: is them getting whatever they need to hit it hard enough. Godzilla, inadvertently in this movie, cannot be hit so hard that he just goes down.
Yeah.
It's just he is an unstoppable force that can only be stopped by another unstoppable force.
Yeah, the Oxygen Destroyer.
The Oxygen Destroyer.
Which I guess spoilers for Godzilla, but it's an old film, so if you haven't seen it by now, I guess
you missed your shot.
Yeah, tough titty caca.
60 years too late. But oh god, like 80 years, right?
Yeah. An interesting thing about the original Japanese that we watched, it actually wasn't really available to like purchase like that original version.
Oh yeah.
Until like 2006 and 2012.
Yeah.
Like, so for the longest time, Americans would buy Godzilla, like maybe from Walmart, like that black and white, and it would be the American version that cuts out a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Which is incredible because 2006, 2012, we were in high school.
Yeah.
And fucking 2006, we were fucking elementary school, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting to think that our parents could have bought a copy of Godzilla, thinking that we were going to enjoy it as kids, and it being the American version.
Well, my introduction to Godzilla was he fights monsters and saves people.
Yeah.
I didn't know all about that he was a metaphor for the atomic bomb and nature, like taking revenge out
Yeah.
on mankind for creating something so destructive.
You know what? I don't. Did I talk about my introduction to Godzilla?
No, you did. I don't think you did.
Okay. All right. So, Dad worked in Japan, right?
I did not know that.
But yeah. So, as a kid, I remember us having 2 VHS copies of a movie. Okay, one was an anime that fucking I don't know what it is, but it scarred me to this day, and the other one was a VHS of a Godzilla movie, and those were the 2 things I watched. So I don't know what Godzilla movie it was, but it was a Japanese Godzilla movie.
Okay, I was gonna say, was it like the 1990? Was it the American 2000 Godzilla?
It wasn't the American one. I can tell you that. Why? An actual Japanese VHS copy of
Oh
Godzilla.
shit, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's why I don't know it, because I couldn't fucking read Japanese. I couldn't read the
understand.
titles. Yeah, and I couldn't understand them either. The anime, I have no idea what the fuck it was, but it still scars me to this day. That's a topic for another day, though.
Yeah, okay.
But
yeah, I guess let's talk about interesting facts I learned about this film. I guess it was interesting enough that like they actually made like scale models to actual Japan. So it said they like went on a high skyscraper and like kind of like pointed out like Godzilla will come here and wreck this building, we'll destroy that building.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess a cop overheard them and like confronted them about it.
Oh,
because over here saying like we'll blow up that building over there, we'll do that. But yeah, I guess like imagine watching a movie and like it's set in your hometown and you actually like see your street or like see.
Yeah, a building you recognize.
Yeah, like back then, in a film. I mean, like right now, I imagine people that live in New York watch Marvel movies and like, oh, that's that one building.
Well, of course.
Or maybe not. I don't know.
It'd be like us watching Napoleon Dynamite, and
I've only seen Napoleon Dynamite one time.
You have sinned just as much as I have.
Okay.
God, you need to watch Napoleon Dynamite like a couple more times.
I
was gonna say because that was a movie that was shot in Idaho. So if you watch Napoleon Dynamite, if you live like in the, I don't even remember what area it is, but some things you could recognize there. Let's talk about the models, the actual models that they used in the first one.
Yeah, when one of the models, the electric wire, when they tried to capture him, the electric wires.
Yes.
That was made of wax.
Wax.
Yeah, so when Godzilla shot his breath at it,
it would
melt in a convincing way.
Okay. All right. So they tried their hardest to go with like the realistic route.
Yeah.
As much as they could with a 5'7" guy, 5'5".
That could only. I think I saw something that could only film like 5 minutes in the suit at that time.
Yeah.
And they take like cups of. They would be like able to get like cups of sweat out of the suit.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd have to like clean it out daily.
Yeah. Yeah, the giant rubber suit.
And one time, the guy fell on his face and passed out, like knocked himself out because he fell straight forward.
Oh gosh, because he couldn't catch himself with his tiny arm.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Another interesting thing, they talked about when it came out into the theaters, like in Japan. Mm-hmm. One of the theaters it was in, that building, is in the Godzilla film.
Oh.
So it's like it says you see Godzilla's tail like swing past it.
Huh.
And like they said that people talked about like being surreal, like being in the theater and seeing the building that you're in, and then seeing like, oh gosh, it almost got destroyed.
Yeah, which do you think that would work today? I don't think that would really work today because people are too removed from fiction. But
yeah,
mean, oh, that would have been amazing to be in that movie theater at that time.
Be even more crazy if like something actually happened.
That would be horrible.
Well, I guess like not no one dies, but like you see the tail swing by and like you just feel like maybe like a slight earthquake happens, like a small rumble. And just kind of like, oh shit.
This is like a 4D movie theater.
But yeah, and I found out they actually filmed scenes underwater.
Yeah.
It was one of the first instances of filming underwater in a film, and they used actual divers for like some of the scenes.
I would hope so.
And one of the divers almost died because his plug thing wasn't working, and they didn't notice him tugging on it.
Gotcha.
Until he passed out and he floated up to the top.
That's horrible. I shouldn't laugh, but that's rough.
Yeah. And then I'm finding out that they actually had like a lot of doubts about Godzilla doing well.
I was gonna say
it was kind of like, this is like my career is hinging on this film's success.
Yeah.
If it doesn't succeed, I'm like done for in this industry.
Yeah, and it almost seemed like it was doomed to fail. But they had a plan, and that was to release a second movie 6 months after? 4 months?
Well, because it did well, yeah. They released the second movie 6 months after. It came out 6 months after the first one. Godzilla Raids Again, and this movie's pretty lackluster. It's the first film Godzilla's fighting a monster.
Which, by the way, was a total blue ball. They kind of mess with you there, because that monster is
gone before the final act.
He's gone before the second act. It's the monster's there, and then the monster's gone, pretty much, and then the story moves on. I
guess it's weird because there's really no saying in the film. These guys just kind of end up on this place because one was like kind of stranded and he had to go save them. And then Godzilla and this other monster, Anguirus or Angus.
Arachnor?
It's like Angarius.
Oh, yeah.
Just shows up. They just see these two fighting, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's Godzilla. And this is a new Godzilla because if you know from the first one, they kill Godzilla in the ending. And that's usually the only consistent thing in all of Godzilla reboots. Aside from the legendary one. Yeah. That the original Godzilla film always takes place and they've already killed one Godzilla. Yeah. And then another shows up. But yeah, I guess, what would you say is the most interesting thing about Godzilla Raids?
Raids Again?
Like, what would you say about the human aspect of these stories?
The human aspect?
These two pilots, these two pilots, one having found love and the other one trying to find love.
The human aspect is kind of weird. It's almost like, I don't know, unnecessary / like not that interesting, but it's something we all can kind of gravitate to at one point in our lives.
Yeah, we're all lonely, looking for love.
We're all looking for love, or we all know someone who's looking for love. But honestly, you could cut that out of the film, and you'd be good, pretty much.
I'd say it'd be a lot shorter and faster and a lot faster. It would be,
because the human part is like what makes these movies drag on. And I'll say that for both of them that I've watched so far, is that.
But I'd say I was more intrigued by the human story in the first one than I was in the second one.
Yes, the first one definitely had more weight to it compared to the second one. Because the first one had to do with, like, morals, and then the second one... Morals,
a love triangle.
Yeah, and the second one is just not really a love triangle in the first one.
Well, it was meant to be a love triangle because I guess I missed it in the film, but she was supposed to be in an arranged marriage to marry the scientist guy.
Gotcha.
But she's in love with this other guy.
Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense. I guess I missed that too. But, it makes the movie drag on, which is why they do it, because if they didn't have the human aspect of it, it'd be 15 minutes long. The second one, the love story in there, is supposed to give you a sting. It's supposed to leave you with kind of a bad taste in your mouth.
You think so?
Yeah.
Because, well, I guess, yeah, you got the two already in love. You got the friend looking for love.
Yeah, and then he thinks he's found it.
And then he dies.
And then he dies, which is like the oldest trick in the book.
Which was so crazy watching the final act of this film because their master plan to stop Godzilla is to bury him in snow in an avalanche.
Mm-hmm.
So they're shooting this avalanche and they're doing so much things just to cause one little avalanche. And I don't know if they were doing this purposely or not because there was like no indication. Sometimes they just slammed into the mountain for no like... There was no, like, I'm losing control line or anything.
Yeah.
They just slam into the mountain.
It's about 8 minutes of gunfire and planes crashing into a mountain and Godzilla slowly getting buried bit by bit. 8 pure minutes, I swear. It has to be 8 minutes long.
And then it ends.
Without even a to be continued question mark. It just ends. Godzilla's buried, and they just kind of go, "We did it."
I actually think the next film was Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yeah.
After that one.
That would kind of make a little bit of sense. I'm like drawing lines and.
I'm trying to do. I think he breaks. He gets out of the thing. Like, what I say about these two films, if you're a Godzilla fan and you haven't seen the first one, I'd highly recommend it because it's Godzilla's beginnings and what he was meant to be before he turned into a wacky creature that fought monsters.
Yeah. If you're wanting answers for, like, anything about Godzilla, I would not recommend these movies because they purposely leave it vague because they don't even know what they're doing with it yet.
Well, I don't think it was meant to be an entire franchise.
Exactly.
It was like,
Yeah.
monster. Here's this kind of, to us, cliche monster film, but back then meant a lot, was very critical and emotional to the Japanese audience and genre breaking. The second one, it's a cash grab. You don't gotta watch it. I wouldn't really recommend it. Mm-hmm. The first plan to stop Godzilla, it almost works, but then there's this Three Stooges wacky like subplot that happens that fucks everything up.
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah. All right. Should we rate these movies?
All right. Yeah. I'll give you say your rating.
Godzilla 1, the original. I give it a 7 out of 10.
I say 10 out of 10 just because I love Godzilla and this is his first outing and he got popular because of this.
Yeah.
For the second Godzilla, I guess I'm going to say a 4 because it's entertaining to watch the monsters fight, but there's really nothing beyond that. And take for granted, I watched these films as a kid, so watching it now as an adult, I'm probably going to be more critical on these films than I would be when I was a kid and I just enjoyed the monsters fighting. Because many of those films, I didn't know that Godzilla was the bad guy of the film, and I wasn't supposed to be rooting for him to beat Mothra or other monsters that are trying to defend humanity in this movie.
For the second one, Godzilla Raids Again, I'd probably give it a 5 out of 10. Honestly, I wasn't thinking of 4. 4's wow, but 5 out of 10 to me, just because. It pretty much has the same formula as the first one, but the human aspect is less interesting.
Is watered down.
Is super watered down. It even kind of breaks the plot a little bit in parts with the time skips it does, and that just kind of weirds the story out more to me. But that was our review.
And we'll see you for the next Godzilla film we decide to watch.
Yeah.